Hey, if I told you had a story needing to be heard that could inspire or give hope to someone else, would you share it? Hi, I'm Christine Houches, and just like our fingerprints, I believe our stories are unique to put us on the path that we are on. Would you agree?
Yes.
Today, my guest is going to talk about being a survivor of cancer. Now, the C word, cancer, is not one we like to hear. But imagine, if you will, going on a vacation, coming back, and then you just go, something's not right here. And I say right here because this gentleman has cancer that I'll let him share with you. But our bodies, we need to pay attention to them. Today, my guest is Freddie, and he's going to talk us through the journey of how he found out he had throat cancer. Hi, Freddie.
Hi.
Thank you for your time.
Always a pleasure.
All right, so you were on a little trip and you came home?
Yes, our family was in San Diego. Had a wonderful time. And we came home, and there was a flood that happened, and my office got flooded out. And not soon after that, I developed some lesions on my nose, on my face. Okay. And I thought, did I get bit by a bug or something? And I went to go to the doctor, and they said I had shingles.
Shingles, that's if you get, we all know if you got shingles, that means you had a...
Chickenpox.
Injection.
It's usually brought on by stress.
Oh, none of us have stress.
Yeah, so I thought, well, I'm usually not a stressful person, but they said sometimes indirectly you don't know when you have it, a stressful thing that happens in your head. To some people it's an event that's big, some other people it's small. So to me, I take things lightly and I just go through life. And so it's very unlikely that you get shingles on your face. It's usually on your body. And it affected my face, my nose, went into my eye, and it blinded me for a week. And so while I was going to the doctor to treat my shingles, of course they find other things wrong with you, I kept asking about a lump on my throat. It was kind of hard, and it would go down, then it would come back up. And the doctor said, my first initial doctor said, it's usually a secretion gland. Okay. And something sour will let it digress. And I said, okay, what do I do? Suck on lemon drops.
I don't know what doctor says.
Yeah, so I did that for about a day or two, and it went down a little bit, came back up. So she had sent me to an ENT, and this specialist did the same thing, didn't know anything that was going on, and couldn't advise me, which got me frustrated, of course, which brings on stress. I'd given up, and finally, my family had found another ENT in Gilbert, Dr. Gambino. I highly recommend him. He saved my life. Walked into his office and he examined me, found out that my ears were good, my nose was collapsed due to the shingles, and that I would have to have plastic surgery to open up my deviated septum, which had closed up.
Okay.
He goes...
That closed up because there was tissue that was built, that was inflamed?
If I could show you photographs sometime, there was lesions on my face. And it affected my whole nasal cavity, so I could only breathe if I do that or, put nose plugs in. So he had said, after he assessed all that, he stopped and he goes, I'm a little concerned about that lump on your throat. I said, thank you, so am I. Mm-hmm. First one who ever basically addressed that issue. So he goes, I want to get a scan, see where we're at. Came back a day later and he said, there's a mass. He showed me.
What part of your throat is it?
Right here. Oh. It was attached to my tonsil.
Okay.
And so I don't know what it is. It could be nothing. It could be something. So I'm going to send it off to pathology. And came back and he says, do you want to come in? I've got the results back. Me, just tell me over the phone. Okay. I take things pretty easy, And he says, it's cancerous. Oh, no. It did not affect me like most people affect the word cancer. The big C word is pretty scary.
That it is.
And I had family members who died cancer, and so it didn't affect me. I just said, what do we do?
Yeah, what do you do?
And he said, do you have any questions? And I said, yes. And I said, am I going to die? And he said, yes, but not soon. Oh. It's going to be a while. We've caught it in time. The stage was stage 2.
Stage 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So he set me up with some cancer centers to choose from, and I chose MD Anderson in Gilbert, and the people there are not from this earth. They're angels. These people are phenomenal. They sat down with me, with an oncologist and my surgeon, and basically showed me a menu of what's available, my options,
A menu.
basically.
How many options were there?
There were a few, severe to, less severe.
Okay.
He goes, but the severe is going to treat it aggressively. I said, let's get it out of me. He goes, that's number one.
Okay.
That's the top of the menu.
Absolutely.
So surgery, and he took a scope and showed me what it looked like. And on the monitor, it looked like a little alien was hanging onto my tonsil. So I said, let's get him off that.
Okay.
Schedule surgery. And then he goes, as soon as we cut the cancer out, we're going to treat the area with chemo and radiation to make sure it's gone. And I said, described it as pulling a weed. You never snap it, you dig around it from the root, and then you zap it with weed killer.
Okay.
So he goes, that's what we're going to do with the radiation and chemo. So we scheduled the surgery and went in, and he prepped me, told me everything was going to happen. And if you've ever had surgery, with me, I haven't never had any major surgery in my life, so I didn't know what it was. It's something like I was out for 5 minutes when I was out for 6 hours.
Oh, wow.
When it came to, he came into my room, and he says, everything went fine. That's what you want to hear.
Right.
He goes, I've got good news and I've got bad news.
After having surgery, you still have bad news.
All right, and I said, I said, give me the bad news.
Right.
I'm the kind of person that wants to get the bad news out of the way and go on to the fun stuff.
Put the cake, like frosting on the cake.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he told me the bad news is the bad news, I discovered the cancer had gone down your arm and wrapped around a nerve.
Okay.
And I had to sever it. And I said, what does that mean, sever it? Because that sounds pretty scary.
It does.
He says, well, you probably won't be able to raise your arms higher than this ever again.
Okay.
Due to that nerve is pretty severely, it's a big nerve and it goes down your arm,
Absolutely.
Controls everything.
Yeah.
And
Wait, are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Oh,
and
that is your right hand.
Yeah, and I was right-handed. I said, okay, well, it's still moving. And he goes, you're a graphic artist. You sit at a laptop or a computer all day long. I said, yes. So for the majority of my life, for 35, 40 years, I've been doing this. Mm-hmm. No heavy lifting. I said, well, now it's pretty much obvious I'm not going to. He said, do me a favor and raise your arms up as high as you can. Now, mind you,
How
here.
many days again was this after
This
surgery?
is the day after surgery.
Okay, so how far did you go?
So I went up like this, and he looked at me like I was the wrong patient.
Wait, were you on meds?
Oh, yeah, through the whole thing, I was amazing. Feeling pretty good.
No wonder I don't think we even realize what we can or
Can't
do. That's why I asked.
But he says that's virtually impossible because I severed your, showed me x-rays
Oh.
and photographs.
Okay.
Here's the nerve. And I said, well, that's kind of weird because I was feeling pain in my arm and my former doctor had told me, let's just get you steroids. So, but that was the cancer had gone down my arm. Didn't know. Okay. So I goes, that's the bad news. I said, okay, well, it looks like I'm doing pretty good for bad news. What's the good news?
Right.
He goes, we're no chemo. You're just going to have to do 8 weeks of radiation. I said, fantastic. Because I've seen what it does to people.
Yeah.
And it scared me because it eliminates all your cells down to zero. So time went by, and for the first month, as I got out of the hospital and in the hospital, I couldn't swallow anything because of my throat, my surgery. And my scar went from here all the way down, and he did a pretty good job of the scar because it looked like a rope. And so I ate through a tube in my nose, and I put it through the bad nose because I don't want my good nose to be clogged up. And that's how I ate and I drank for almost a month.
Well, I noticed you've lost a lot of weight. I've known you for a long time, so that was just
65 to 70 pounds I lost through the whole ordeal. And not the good way.
Sure.
You know. So after the tube came out, I was extremely hungry.
Okay.
As anybody would be.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out to eat and I gulped down food. And I was taught that you got to chew it up quite a bit because you had throat surgery. Ready? Slow down. I was adjusting good, and then they started to prep me for my radiation treatment. Mm-hmm. And they give me a DVD, what to watch. Here's what you have to prepare for. And I thought, okay, I'll watch it, blah, 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 go through the stages. And it got to a part where it said, you probably lose taste for a while. and or your taste will be different. If you love coffee, you may hate coffee afterwards.
Interesting.
So I go, hey, I'm alive.
Absolutely.
If I have to make adjustments, I'll make adjustments. So the fourth weekend, my family had asked me, how's it going? I said, this is pretty much of a breeze. I had to go through a lot of, they put a mask on you and they strap you down to a table and they shoot a laser into your neck. Precisely, you cannot move, so they strap you down. And it's a web mask. It's a sheet that fit over your
So
head.
it's fit just for your face.
They soak it, like if you've ever had athletics and you put a mouthpiece in, which they had to, and force my tongue in the opposite direction, because you're talking radiations going into your body, which severely burns you.
So did you end up losing taste down the road?
Well, it's the fourth week when I was trying to be cocky and said, this is a breeze. The fifth week, the floor fell out from underneath me. I couldn't taste anything.
Oh, wow.
Literally. And things that I thought would taste good, like a good steak or juicy burger, tasted like cardboard or leather.
No taste buds whatsoever?
None.
Okay, so were there any after effects like cotton mouth or?
My mouth, they warned me that it would feel like my saliva would taste like gel.
Oh.
And that doesn't make you want to eat.
No.
So the thing that saved my life was eating with soup and Jell-O.
Okay.
And that got me through months. And of course, the weight dropped off. And it would come back in stages. So it's starting to come back. And I've actually gained about 8 pounds through my whole ordeal. And I'm getting my taste buds back, but they're elevated. So what I used to love, spicy food, I dip it now and I touch my tongue and it just flames up. So I have
super
to.
sensitive.
Super
now,
sensitive.
So it's completely opposite.
Right. So I've learned to say, I like my salsa and my chili. I'm going to eat it no matter what. And he laughed because there's other patients that have had that. The recovery was long and tedious, and it's still recovering.
Now you're coming up on an anniversary, are you not?
Yes, April 15th will be the 1 year of the date of my surgery. And March was when I was diagnosed with cancer. But all in all, the remnants of the shingles has done more damage to me than the actual cancer in my mind, because I'm still suffering through the shingles.
So it's numb?
Yeah, it gets numb and it's tingly, and sometimes it'll affect my eyeball. I've had to have cataract in my right eye to adjust for vision.
Okay.
All in all, I'm just happy to be alive.
I agree.
I'm a positive person. I always have been. You've known me for a long time. And now this has elevated me to another level of consciousness and appreciation.
And appreciation. I was going to ask you, because we're going to wrap this up here, how did this, and then again, we've known each other for a long time. You've seen me go through my loss of my daughter, Nicole, and I've seen your family members that have passed away and the things that have happened in our lives as they do. Where would your level of appreciation and I wouldn't say your faith. People think your faith is your religion. It's not necessarily a religion. It's how you feel and what you believe in.
Exactly.
Where would you say your faith or your beliefs are now, having gone through this, when you had the C word that could have taken you out, as people think that all cancers do, and they do spread, as it's already been expressed?
They do, yeah. My appreciation of life has always been, since I was a kid, because I went through a lot of trauma and loss, is still there. It's still high. It's always been. It's just to another level. Mm-hmm. So now I don't take things for granted. As with you, what I've heard from you, you want to do something, stop and do it. Mm-hmm. Don't wait, because tomorrow's never promised. And you get what you put in. And I'm positive. I wear my feelings on my sleeve. I'm a very emotional person. I cry at McDonald's commercials, Budweiser commercials. Who doesn't?
Super Bowl.
Yeah. So I'm a very emotional person by heart. This is elevated to another level. So I try to relieve the stress, listen to calming music. If I'm stuck in traffic, I just listen to soft music.
You can't move, so might as well just go with the flow.
Exactly.
People get so frustrated on things they can't control instead of what they can control.
Exactly.
And you can control how you feel.
Amen.
You can control how you see things. You can control how you're going to react or not react. And I've been told the same thing. You're so calm. It's my life. No one's going to push my buttons. I've had the worst thing happen to me with losing my daughter. So go ahead. Cut me off. It's your choice. I must keep on moving along.
I'll say one thing real quick. After 9/11,
Yes.
everybody the day after was very courteous and everybody let you merge into traffic, open doors for you, calm. I said, why can't you do that every day of your life?
It seems as though when a tragedy happens that if we feel affects everybody, we do get into that generous state of mind. And then you go,
A week later, everybody's back in the same
back
mode.
to their normal stuff, and you're like, "Well, what happened here?" But it's nice to have that feeling, but you know it's not going to last for long because we've experienced some tragedies a few different times.
Exactly.
So the last question I love asking is, and a lot of people say, "Oh, I've never thought about that." You've been through what you've been through, and I feel that we're all creating a legacy for ourselves. But we'll say, when your day's last done, what do you want to be remembered for?
There's a long list, but I would have to say my love of life and my sense of humor.
We gotta have sense of humor. We gotta have laughter.
My appreciation for humans in general, that I believe that everybody has good in them, no matter how evil you think they are.
Absolutely.
Everybody has good in them. And if you can find that and spread that, everybody, it's just like a little trickle. This world would be a lot easier to live with if you did that.
I 100% agree with you. I had heard something the other day because I've always got stuff in my ear to listen to, literally like a bud. And the one thing I had heard the other day was, love always sees the good in everything. And you said, everyone has good in them. They really do.
Amen.
And so, yeah.
Exactly.
So I will remember you always for a lot of different things, but absolutely that. So,
I want, when I'm gone, that when you think of me, you smile.
of course.
You're going to cry. Hopefully that you don't cry too much, but you'll laugh. It's a celebration of life. It's how your legacy is what you spread on this planet. Yeah. And I think that's what I want to be remembered as is just a smile, and a song comes on, it reminds me of Freddie, or a movie or a comedy. That's what I want to be remembered, and that's how I live my life.
Well, you know, we're only here for a short amount of time. We've heard the cliches. You never know how, well, I do, you do.
Mm-hmm.
Life is precious.
It is.
And as soon as someone figures that out, they'll start living a little more peaceful life. And
it's unfortunate that it takes a tragedy sometimes for people to appreciate that. I have always appreciated it, but it's just another level when you go through something like this. You find out who your true friends and your family members and people who are there behind you and support you.
And actually, because I have a nonprofit organization based on my personal tragedy, sometimes in tragedies, people will find that part of them that says, I want to do something more for someone else.
Right.
Because I don't want them to feel the way I did and felt like I was alone.
Exactly.
So, perfect.
Good.
Thank you, Freddie.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm here for a while longer.
Yeah, like the doctor said, you're going to die, just not today. So with that being said, I want to wish you well. And as I always say, come back, because these just keep getting better and better. And appreciate every day that you have. Even if you're having a bad day or someone cuts you off, let it be theirs. Don't let it be yours.
Exactly.
All right. Until then,
good.
You take care. I'll
Thank
see you
you
again soon.